Hello, it's Courtney Harrison, and today I'm going to be sharing another way that I would encourage my students to use Screencast-O-Matic and Google Slides as a means to present their materials to one another, student to student. Students in a classroom or students are often teaching each other things that they've become experts on, and I think Screencast-O-Matic is an interesting way for some of your students to perhaps get involved in that. So here's yet another example, and before I show the example, just a kind of an explanation of what my vocabulary talks or my vocabulary workshop program how it works and how I worked on it with my students. First of all, the book I'm on top of over here, Max's Words, that is one of the books that is available in my chalk tray that promotes the idea of collecting words. I turn my students into word collectors. Every week, regardless, every Friday, my students owe me 4 vocabulary words that they have discovered in something we've been reading, and it has to be word features because they say, I want to add that word to my vocabulary. It's an interesting word I did not know existed. Each week they come in with 4 words, and of course provide things like an online form that looks like this, and then every week they have 8 words to present, and when that happens, we have enough material to do what's called a vocabulary workshop. Students, we take about 30 minutes, each student gets randomly partnered with up to between 5 and 8 partners, and they have to teach the words to each other, and they have to try to inspire the person that they're teaching the word to come up with a new way to use the word that's needed for both of them, so they have that one-word experience with their vocabulary word. I started off with being on paper, but my students kind of go crazy, they think bigger is better, and so sometimes they look like this, sometimes they come in on poster board like this, I've had them come in on cubes, I've had them come in on foldy things, and I don't understand that. It wants work and things move around, so this, it just occurred to me that using Screencast-O-Matic as I'm just about to show and teach your words would be an interesting way to use the tool in class. I want to do this quickly, faster than I probably would do with my students just because I have limited time with the Screencast-O-Matic. So the book I'm reading right now is Gerald Doyle's My Family and Other Animals, and it's an autobiography about a family that moves from London or England and moves to Greece when it's in war, and their lives start over. It's a true story based on the youngest son is the narrator, and the writer, and he is the one who became a famous zoologist, and so I've been finding words in that book that I've appreciated, and one of the words I found earlier in the book was sepulchre. Sepulchre is how you say this word. It comes from the noun sepulchre, which is carved into stone where they place bodies instead of burying them in mausoleums or crypts. That's a sepulchre. And anything that is sepulchral is dark and dismal, like something you would see at the graveyard or in a funeral, and so sepulchral is the word in the book. And for this activity, I made a synonym pattern list. We call it in my class a decorated synonym pattern list. The rules are students have to have at least 3 quality synonyms and quality adjectives. They don't accept one-syllable words, usually for them, that's not quality one-syllable words. And then they also have to find some visual to represent both halves, or one visual that represents both halves of the synonym antonym. And so I found a picture going from birth to death, and I flipped it over, and that's how you ended up with this picture. And so that's an activity that my students get 2 minutes to present to each other, one by one, and I teach them to each other. It's kind of for workers. So word number 2, I found also the word lugubrious, which also means sad and dismal, just like sepulchre just did. But what sepulchre means it's specifically in a funeral or a funereal sense. Lugubrious can be sad and dismal in more broad sense. I made a fake phone app for this particular vocabulary talk activity. With fake phone app, you have to name the app your vocabulary word, you have to describe what it does, and somehow the meaning and the name of the app must match. And so my lugubrious app here, if you're having a funeral and you're trying to make it a happy affair and you don't think that's appropriate, or if you're having a sad movie and someone's being inappropriate in the theater, perhaps laughing and then overacting by maybe one of the actors, and you want to bring it back down to a sad thing, you can play sounds off the lugubrious app, and it's mournful crying that will bring everyone who is making light of the situation back to the appropriate level of lugubriousness. And so lugubrious is my app, so at this point, if I was partnered with a supermarket, I asked them what would their app based on lugubrious be, we had that discussion, and I'd move to partner number 3, or partner show number 3, stutterously, sorry, this one was hard for me, stutterously, I wanted to say it as well as that define it, and it comes from the adjective stutterous, which is what doctors use to describe really labored sounding breathing, really noisy breathing, or snoring, and I decided for this particular one, stutterously, you create a show incidence, and a show incidence is one sentence that uses the word, and it has to have at least 3 action verbs that are identified in it. That's what makes a good show incidence, is it's 4 action verbs. And so I have a sentence here that uses stutterously. I'll let you read it if you want. You just see that I've identified my 3 action verbs in my, in some grade levels, they just have to identify it, but in my older grade levels, I do require them to identify that it is transitive or intransitive, which is what you're seeing at the bottom there. But after sharing this word, I would challenge my partner and say, go ahead, try to write, put the word stutterous or stutterously into a show incidence that uses 3 verbs, and then that becomes the discussion and the challenge and how they teach each other. Word 4 is actually not from my family of animals. I do all my students a free word every week if they hear a cool word at dinner or on TV, and they just say, I need to know that word. And I heard the word pulcro recently, which is the fancy name for the editing work that teachers will put in their paper. That means making a paragraph, there's one right there in the definition, and I decided to do word art for this particular one, which requires you to make the word use its letters to build some sort of visual and then explain the visual. And so here I go. I reversed the sign of the pulcro and it looked like a PTA, so that's where that's the first part I wrote up. I indented, which is what any paragraph requires, the I in 5 spaces, and it stands for the meaning, it stands for the words indented. LCX, that I take those 2 letters and turn them into my own acronym with whole chapters. If you're ever reading an essay, each paragraph basically is a little chapter about the bigger topic that the essay is about. And then rows, because that's what you do when you're looking for, not reading paper right off at the brothers as you're scanning rows. When you see that indented one, that's not what I'll tell you, that you'll start reading a paragraph. But this is the word pulcro. I wanted to add it to my vocabulary, and so I did word art. And if I had time, I'd challenge my partner to see what sort of word art they'd like to think about for pulcro. I'm switching it up because I was also listening to a great podcast where I was reading my family of animals. A Wheel of Words is one of my favorite ones. It's all about word and phrase histories, really interesting stuff. But they used great words on one episode, and I was writing them down, and I was listening to it. Fungible was a word I did not know, and so I had to look it up. It means something, it can be described in something that gets replaced by something else, and the person who perhaps owns it doesn't even realize it's happening. Often it's used by people in the money business, and the banking business. If they switch money with other source of money, and you, the owner of the money, didn't even realize that funds were being switched, you call those fungible assets, fungible amounts of money. I did for this activity a haiku, which is just 17 syllables, but you absolutely have to put your word in the context of nature. And so for fungible, I said, okay, not money, but nature. How would I use this word in nature? And I remember Christmases at my dad's house in Colorado, and how every December in Colorado felt exactly like the December before. It always felt exactly the same there, and there's a picture of what it felt like. And so that I created the haiku about fungible seasons. And so I would challenge my partner to come up with their own fungible haiku. Word number 6. Also thought about with words, I thought they said the word solsticism, which I had to look up. I heard it before, but it was a long time ago, but it's a fancy way of saying a mistake in grammar or writing, or you can also use it if someone commits a really bad politeness era. You can say we can look at sourcism. I focused all on grammar, and I decided to create a fake horror movie, which is one of the options for vocabulary. And my movie is called Your Soul for a Sourcism. The vocabulary has to be in the title or the tagline. My tagline is Hades just learned about grammar, and my movie, this is what I have to explain it, would be about new rules that if you commit bad grammar, you go to the bad place. And I thought that would be a good, interesting topic for a fake horror movie. Because split infinitives are probably the grammar mistake that I violate the most, and that's what my picture of my double is saying on my poster here. So what would your movie poster be for the word sourcism? Ruminate was a word they used on the same show, and I always liked the word ruminate, but I don't use it enough, so I added it. But ruminate and cows, when they chew their cud, I always thought that they looked really thoughtful, like they were thinking about something, thinking about what a larger movie, and so ruminate actually is a word to describe a cow chewing, but it also has come to mean that if you look like you're sitting there thinking deeply, you're ruminating. One of my activities is an EGOT. Here's what an EGOT is. If a word that is a vocabulary word, you look it up and you discover it has a noun form, a verb form, an adjective form, and an adverb form. All the same word, just the different forms, and they all have different forms like they do here. You can say I found an EGOT, and that's our code word for the all four things that can be represented thanks to the dictionary. We like them because basically an EGOT means I have found four vocabulary words for the price of one definition, and the activity that we do is students have to write a silly sentence that uses not only all four words in it, but also has context clues in it. And if you didn't know what ruminate meant, you could read my silly sentence at the bottom and probably take a pretty good guess. And then the challenges, they have to challenge their partner to come up with their own sentence that uses all four forms related to ruminate. But that is an EGOT activity. You're saying, now let's move on to my final activity, which is a Mr. Stick cartoon. Normally Mr. Stick cartoons really are Mr. Stick like stick people drawn. I have been playing with the idea that if you take a round white circle and you put it over someone's head, it kind of look like a stick man. So I've been making lately stick man comics out of real photos. I thought I heard the word prevaricate weird words, and I thought when I read the definition that would be sort of a politician. What I did was someone who was guilty in court. I went with politician because I have a standard stick character in my stick character menagerie who is a senator, a politician, and his name is Senator Drew Stickman, and he's from the state of Mississippi, so he stars in this Mr. Stick cartoon. A cartoon must find a context to use the word, and there has to be a speech bubble, and there has to be a caption, and the speech bubble or the caption, the student has to use the word correctly, and so you'll see if you look at both of those in this particular comic that I'm using prevaricate in my caption here. But the challenge is, so what would your cartoon be? If I create this cartoon for prevaricate, what would your cartoon be? And the students discuss that before I move down to the end of the activity where they go back and they try to remember who taught them words that they think are really worth remembering that day. So if you're interested in all my vocabulary stuff, it's all on our website. And if you just corner here and say vocabulary workshops and Google, that's probably the easiest way to learn it. Just have one at the address. But all 10 of the activities that I started with, the rubrics are there, there's materials for, but also 6 ones that my students over the years have created. They came up with the idea for the fake horror movie poster. They came up with the idea for the fake photo, and I actually have write-ups of how I present those to students years after I had students create those ideas. So trying to show you one other way that you could have students present information to each other. I have my students collect vocabulary, and so I'm willing to bet I'm going to have students, when I show them this, be more than willing to say, I should make a vocabulary video about my vocabulary words that Mr. Harrison's requiring me to do anyway. Hey, that's my video for today. Thanks for paying attention. Have a great one. Bye.